What are some of the common? We talked about a lot of good things that pros are doing that sets them apart. But what are some of the things that you notice? Some of the mistakes that we make, sledders make in the backcountry that are pretty easy, like are fixable.
Yeah.
What are some of just a few of those common things that a little tweak here, a little tweak there?
I would say the biggest that I have seen is people thinking they need more power.
More power.
Yeah, people thinking that they need more power to achieve what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
If you're trying to use power to compensate for your physical ability, then I would say you're holding yourself back a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you can learn the basics and learn these maneuvers that you're trying to achieve, and learn how to ride with a sled that maybe doesn't have a turbo, or whatever it may be, I would say if you set up your suspension and your sled to achieve what the style of riding you're looking to achieve, then you'll do so much better. And I see a lot of people that are wanting to learn bow ties and hop overs and stuff like that, or even just basic edge control, but they love the wheelie factor when they squeeze the throttle and that turbo comes on, and on an open hillside they want both, and that's kind of tough because a turbo brings a lot more power in the equation and a lot more throttle control when you're trying to learn that tight technical tree riding, the hop overs and bow ties, because it's a lot more to handle. And you're gonna that sled's gonna ride you. But now if your goal is to you just want to play out in the open, have a good time, and climb some steep hills fast and whatnot, then it's a great option. But I do see a lot of people that want to get into that tight technical riding starting off with a boosted sled, and it holds them back a lot. And I had to learn that. When I jumped on my first turboed sled, I was like, no, this is too much. I need to go back and learn how to ride a naturally aspirated 850. And I tell you what, that was a great decision because I learned the basics, the basics of hop overs and bow ties, and I learned how to do it on those sleds, which now on a boosted sled I can do it in different locations. Like I can do it in locations that I couldn't get to with that naturally aspirated sled. So for learning, it's better to go with suspension and sled setup versus power.
Yeah. And so many people make such a fuss, man. The 600 Catalyst. Dude, we have a few 650, just the Polaris 650s.
They ripped.
And when we would have 650 days. And those were some of the greatest days last year on those 650s. Different riding, but still fun as heck.
Absolutely.
It's not a boring day.
Right.
And you can, for the most part, you can go and do almost everything. You just don't go up to the top. Right.
Absolutely.
Or maybe it takes you a handful of extra attempts to get up there.
Another thing I do is last year I had some issues with my boost 155, so I rode my 146 a majority of the season, and I tell you what, that is a capable setup. You do and I had a 22 Matrix Chaos, and I threw some, an Ice Age skid under there, did a 146 setup on it, and I loved it. Even in the deep POW, it was a challenge. You had to ride it fast, and you had to always be on it in the deep stuff. But it was 2 feet of fresh up in Sealy one time, and it was she was chugging along with the turbos a little bit.
Just giving that 146 all she had.
But that is a very capable setup, and it's a lot easier to learn these things on versus someone trying to learn hop overs and bow ties and all these technical riding on a 165. It's just not really the ideal setup. So a lot of people get caught up in the big track and the turbo for mountains, but want to learn the technical stuff. keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't focus so much on the power. Don't be so fixated on it. Is there anything else? Is there another kind of common mistake you see out there on the mountain or mindset?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest mistakes I see is, and it kind of hits home because my area over in Twin Falls is really bad for it. But a lot of people get this idea that because they showed up to a dealership Avalanche awareness class that they know what they're talking about now, and they've been through a class. And it's like, well, it's a little different than if you're talking like in an area or another AAA level 1 and level 2 and pro classes. There's not. I mean, they dabble into information and give you just enough to be dangerous, but they don't actually go through everything in detail and prepare you for what is going on out there. And so a lot of people also rely on I've never seen it slide there, so it's going to be okay. Well, I can tell you that if you have the right slope angle, the right snowpack, and a trigger, that could be a different story.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've never seen it slid. It is a sacrifice. You might have to take a little bit of time off work. You're going to be out a little bit of pocket change. Maybe that's a sled can for you or whatever it may be. But, man, that avalanche training and knowing what you're dealing with out in the backcountry really helps you make better decisions.
Yeah.
Now, we all make mistakes. No one's immune.
Yeah,
So
and the mountain doesn't give a crap how much training you've had.
It doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't. Even an expert makes mistakes out in avalanche terrain. So, but understanding those helps you mitigate your risk, and it helps mitigate your exposure and make better decisions to better your group.